Bingo ba
Morning,
lang?
Cyrus.
Hello, Doc. Good morning. Haven't seen you for the longest time.
I
Maayong umaga. Good
know.
morning.
Paano ba
Doc,
naman kasi itong pandemyang
yes.
ito? Naku pa.
It's disturbing everyone, but
I
a
know.
little
Good
patience.
morning, Doc
Yeah, good
Sheila.
morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Doc.
Ah,
Morning,
And
Doc
yeah,
Ivy,
is
good
it all
Castro.
right to
morning.
check if I can share para hindi tayo nagmamadali mamaya? If you
Oo nga.
can, uh, if you can just um, share screen, so I will check if ano, I
I
can
will
do
make
the
you,
slide
uh,
sharing.
can we make Doc Balaganas
Ayan,
co-host?
wait.
Yes.
So, hindi pa. Dali po. I think I should. Okay. All right. Where is that now? Yes.
Sir Vince, we'll just go over the video presentation and then we'll start
Ayan,
with the
okay na.
trailer.
Okay na.
At 9 o'clock na, we'll
I think I can
start the session.
I can do the
Thank you
slide
very much.
share na. So, it's okay now. Okay. Ay, but I need to stop the sharing. Anyway, sige. Pwede na. Madali na. Thank you.
As you begin your journey with us, be guided by our Lasallian guiding principles. University of St. LaSalle offers you educational experiences that will challenge you to reach your full potential. As a Catholic university, we help you clarify and live out the Christian values. Our campus culture emphasizes unity in diversity and dialogue and respect for differences. We help you translate theory into practice. Lasallian education prepares you for your future place in family, society, and workplace. At USLS, we prepare you to be career ready for the 21st century global workplace. Our expected Lasallian graduate attributes empowers you to be socially responsible Christian. Think beyond your self-interest. Become more aware of realities and contribute in your own way to nation building and transformation of society. Take more responsibility for your own needs and your own growth. Experience what it means to be a catalyst for social transformation through your participation in community service. Effective communicator. Improve and gain confidence in using effective oral, written, and multimedia communications so you can express your thoughts and ideas. Use digital technology and communication tools to research, organize, and communicate ideas and information. Work productively or collaborate with others in teamwork and be more flexible in adapting to changing situations. Critical thinker. Become more open to innovative and creative ideas and ways of thinking. Sharpen your critical thinking by analyzing issues before forming your own opinion. Be more solution oriented when challenged by problems, and translate or apply theories learned to practical situations and applications. Welcome to the University of St. LaSalle, where better futures are created now.
Indeed, after 66 years of presence in Negros and in the city of Bacolod, we continue to make a commitment towards the human and Christian education of many young people and adults who seek learning.
Lasallians know how to balance the mind and the heart. We know when to be objective, we know when to be critical, and more importantly, we know how to be compassionate. And this is really important if we are to be socially responsible Christians. And at the rate things are going now with our country and around the world, I believe that this makes us an asset to society.
Furthermore, a Lasallian is taught how to become an effective leader. A leader who has a clear vision in mind and a leader who has a passion to serve. And you put all these together, and this is why I believe a Lasallian is so special.
I love being in LaSalle because it helps me live out my faith.
I am fortunate enough to have been part of a network or system of Lasallian schools and communities all over the world. Personally, I am one of the many Lasallian educators who is given that responsibility to make a difference or to leave a mark, a good lasting impression upon my students.
LaSalle is not just a school, it is a home of students who are nurtured with the teachings of St. John Baptist de LaSalle that creates a big impact in the life of many.
My experience here in LaSalle is where you learn things even through stuff that doesn't really matter to most, but it would for you.
Our successes can be traced to the distinct Lasallian education that is received in the classroom, outside of the classroom, and in many places where learning is made available in this university.
The Bachelor of Science in Nursing is a 4-year degree program designed to develop the competencies required of a beginning nurse practitioner. It will equip students with the knowledge, attitude, and skills needed to help individuals, families, groups, and communities cope with current and potential threats to health.
I chose LaSalle because Lasallian nurses provide holistic care through physical, mental, social, emotional, and spiritual aspects.
I chose LaSalle because LaSalle produces globally competent nurses. I chose LaSalle because it is one of the prestigious schools here in the Philippines and is giving a quality education to its students. I chose nursing because I believe that nursing is a calling to spark the change and be the change.
I chose nursing to serve humanity for a noble job to touch the lives of every individual who needs compassion and care.
I chose nursing because I believe it's best to be mentors, since it offers us hospital exposure and allows us to interact and care for actual patients.
Pushing the limits of one's capacity.
Touching lives with consistency, care, and compassion.
beyond the boundaries of student involvement.
Living up to the standards of what it takes to be a true Lasallian nurse.
Serving with the heart of a phoenix.
Instilling the values of a true Lasallian.
Join us, and together we will empower the spirit of the phoenix within.
As you begin your journey with us, be guided by our Lasallian guiding principles. University of St. LaSalle offers you educational experiences that will challenge you to reach your full potential. As a Catholic university, we help you clarify and live out the Christian values. Our campus culture emphasizes unity in diversity and dialogue and respect for differences. We help you translate theory into practice. Lasallian education prepares you for your future place in family, society, and workplace. At USLS, we prepare you to be career ready for the 21st century global workplace. Our expected Lasallian graduate attributes empowers you to be socially responsible Christian. Think beyond your self-interest. Become more aware of realities and contribute in your own way to nation building and transformation of society. Take more responsibility for your own needs and your own growth. Experience what it means to be a catalyst for social transformation through your participation in community service. Effective communicator. Improve and gain confidence in using effective oral, written, and multimedia communications so you can express your thoughts and ideas. Use digital technology and communication tools to research, organize, and communicate ideas and information. Work productively or collaborate with others in teamwork and be more flexible in adapting to changing situations. Critical thinker. Become more open to innovative and creative ideas and ways of thinking. Sharpen your critical thinking by analyzing issues before forming your own opinion. Be more solution-oriented when challenged by problems, and translate or apply theories learned to practical situations and applications. Welcome to the University of St. LaSalle, where better futures are created now.
Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant morning to one and all, and I would like to welcome everyone to yet another worthwhile morning of a very beautiful experience. I am so happy, I am so honored because joining us today is a highly esteemed resource speaker that will be talking about nurturing research capacity among nurse educators. But our highly esteemed resource speaker will be introduced properly in a very short while. To start with, I would like to request everyone to kindly gather our senses and ourselves in the most holy presence of the Lord. This is our Thanksgiving
Ay,
prayer.
kasama na rin ako.
After which,
Later na lang kasama na rin.
and after which, we will have our national anthem. Let us put ourselves in the most holy presence of God.
让我成为我想改变的，以天主的力量和智慧带领我。
제게 성령을 내려주사 고난을 잊게 하시고 제가 구해온 변화들에 인해서 제가 좀 더 변할 수 있게 도와주시오.
Set me free from my fears and hesitations. Grant me courage and humility.
Wat alleen nog gedaan moet worden.
నేను కాంతిని కాదు కానీ నేను కోరుకున్న మార్పు కోసం ఈ రోజు ప్రయత్నిస్తాను.
Aku bisa menjadi percikan cahaya dalam iman, layanan, maupun komuni.
Simulan natin ang mga pagbabago na gusto nating makita, mga pagbabago na nagsisimula sa atin.
Mayang magiliw, kaya sa silangan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lumang inirang, tuyan na ng magiging, sa manlulupit, di ka masisi. Sa dagat at punong sa simayan, sa langit na mahal, may nilagang ulat, awit sa panayang minamahal. Ang isap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidinig. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw dalawa, ating pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya ng pangay mga ating, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Thank you very much. And again, I would like to welcome everyone to our webinar entitled Nurturing Research Capacity Among Nurse Educators. As mentioned earlier, it is with so much pride and with honor and with so much privilege because joining us today is one of the pillars in our nursing profession. But prior to her talk, I know everyone is just so excited to listen and to learn and to have a new knowledge about the topic proper. I would like to take this opportunity in extending my gratitude to our attendees, to our participants all over the world, all over the archipelago. They woke up very early and I can feel the enthusiasm. I would like to extend my warm Lasallian greetings to our colleagues in our Lasallian community from the University of St. LaSalle. Can we please give the group a round of applause? Thank you very much. Thank you so much, colleagues and fellow Lasallians. From West Visayas State University, good morning, good morning. Maayong aga sa inyo. From Colegio San Agustin, Bacolod, thank you very much. From Corazon Locsin Montelibano Memorial Regional Hospital, thank you so much for joining us today. Your presence is highly appreciated. From the Department of Education, from the Central Philippine Adventist College, thank you so much. St. Louis University, Philippines, West Visayas State University, and also joining us today, St. Paul University of Iloilo, pamantasan ng lungsod ng Pasig. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. From Aklan State University, thank you so much. Then we have from the Department of Health, CVCHD. Of course, kanang ato mga higala o ang ato mga kaigsuunan nga nagikan pagayod sa Silliman University kanang diha sa Dumaguete. Daghang salamat kaayo sa inyong pag-attend sa atong seminar karong buntag. From the United States of America, good morning, good morning. Wow, this is not just a local happening. This is a global phenomenon. Ladies and gentlemen, from Sheikh Khalifa Specialty Hospital, United Arab Emirates, good morning. West Visayas State University Medical Center, West Visayas Medical Center as well, and the YIBU or Gibo Education from China. Ni hao ma. Good morning everyone. Maayong buntag kaninyong tanan. Thank you for that warm spirit of being one in this beautiful and meaningful morning. I know you are also very excited to continue our day and to continue with our webinar. To formally welcome everyone, let us listen to a welcome message coming from our beloved Dean from the College of Nursing, University of St. LaSalle. Let's put our hands together as we listen to Dean Ivy G. Idemi.
Thank you, Sir Cyrus. Research is to see what everybody else has seen and think what nobody has thought. By Albert Georgi. Good morning, my dear participants, my fellow nurse educators, our partners from the different health agencies and institutions. Because we are all agents for change, this will definitely lead us to an increase in the utilization of research. Yes, I welcome everyone in this webinar. Indeed, we are truly grateful and honored to have with us one of the big names in nursing research, or should I say, an icon in nursing research, Dr. Erlinda Palaganas. Thank you, Doctor, for gracing us with your presence this morning. I believe what she will share with us this morning is important in capacitating us to develop more researches that are current, as well as in the facilitation of evidence-based practice in the academe and in the healthcare agencies and organizations. I am certain that this will be an opportunity for an excellent exchange of knowledge. Forgive me if I cannot be with you for the rest of the webinar because I have to attend to another meeting. But on this note, I wish you all a productive and successful webinar with stimulating discussions for the rest of the day. Again, welcome and good morning, everyone.
Thank you very much, Dean Ivy, for that very warm welcome. Muchas gracias, mi amiga. Thank you so much. And I failed to mention that there are participants also coming all the way from Thailand. I missed to greet them. Sawadee ka. And I know that we are set to start. You might be asking, what's the reason why we are all here? What's the main purpose why we are attending this webinar? And to do the honor in telling us the objectives of our celebration of knowledge today, it is my honor giving the floor to one of our colleagues in the faculty in the College of Nursing, Mr. OJ Jimenez. Sir OJ?
Thank you, Sir Sai. Good morning, attendees, panelists, and to Dr. Paganas. It is my privilege to review with everyone our objective for this morning. At the end of the presentation, the participants are expected to recognize common sources of researchable problems in nursing education, distinguish simple guidelines for systemic interpretation of findings in writing research results and discussion, and appraise ways in communicating research results in publications. Back to you, Sir Sai.
Thank you very much, Sir OJ. Ladies and gentlemen, to formally introduce our guest and resource speaker for this webinar, I would like to give the floor to the one and the only one, Dr. Shaila Torreira. Dr. Shai, take it away.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Sir Cyrus. Our esteemed speaker for today is a professor of management of the University of the Philippines, Baguio, with a master in public health from UP Manila and a PhD from the University of Sydney, Australia. As a researcher, she sustained research publications in the field of health services and nonprofit sector management, including indigenous health knowledge and practices, gender studies, health policy studies, health program assessment and evaluation studies, and community development participating or participatory action researches. She has been involved in various researches projects with the Department of Health, both national and regional, such as an evaluation study on the health sector reform program agenda and the development of a supervisory manual of public health nurses with the Human Resource Development Bureau. She is an active member of the nursing profession and have served the Philippine Nurses Association as a national and local chapter leader in various capacities such as Board of Governor, Board Secretary, Chapter President, Chair of the House of Delegates, Chair of the Department of Public Affairs, and also as President of the PNA itself. She is also the editor-in-chief of the Philippine Journal of Nursing since 2008 up to the present. She is very active with various non-government organizations such as the President of the Community Health Education Services and Training in the Cordillera Region Incorporated, President of the Cordillera Center of Health and Social Concerns Incorporated, the Chair of Capability Building Committee of the Cordillera Region Health Research and Development Consortium. Friends, our resource person is truly an authentic, iconic nurse leader. She brings nursing research, practice, and education into a higher level worth emulating by all Filipino nurses. Her leadership in the Philippine Nurses Association as past president gave our Filipino nurses a better look by the Philippine legislators as she worked to the observance of nurses' salary increase. As editor-in-chief of the Philippine Journal of Nursing, she made possible the recognition of PJN as Scopus Index, among others. Fellow nurses, let us give a virtual hand of applause as we welcome our privileged and well-esteemed speaker, Dr. Erlinda Castro-Palaganas.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Doc. Good morning, Doc.
Morning. Okay. I'm trying to share my screen. Can you see my screen at the moment?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. Sige. So let me just okay. So maraming salamat po, Dr. Sheila Trajera, for indeed that very interesting introduction. Pero lagpak ka sa sa instruction. Kaming dalawa na lang po nakakaalam. Pero we have some ang tawag dito, internal arrangement pero hindi niya sinunod. Pero anyway, Cyrus, magandang umaga. It's been a while. OJ, thank you for setting the tone of this seminar. And of course, Dean Ivy. It's just unfortunate that she can't join us, but I'm sure she can go over this presentation since I understand it is being video recorded. So anyway, I thank you very much for inviting me to be with you this morning. It is indeed a privilege an honor and a privilege to be with you this morning. And that basically is, or this basically is something that I love doing. No, I just wish that we can just sit down and just may kwento, magkwentuhan tayo tungkol sa research, about what is happening, and not just this so formal, this so formal activity. But nevertheless, I don't wish to make it as an intimidating as it already seems to be. But this will indeed be a very, I hope, interesting webinar. And the last time I was with you was way back in March 2013, when again Doc Sheila Trajera invited me over, and the college invited me, and I had, I think, a morning session with you, and that I will not forget because I was able to see my mentor in research, Dr. Jesus Lara, who was then in Murcia, Bacolod, and I spent a night with her, and she brought me to the ruins. And so this was my picture in 2013 when I visited the ruins in Talisay, Bacolod. So these are some of the informations that I have about me. So if you want to know more about me, then you can just go over this information. And I also would like to declare any conflict of interest. Definitely, I don't have any conflict of interest in this undertaking. Whatever comments I have is based on the training that I have received, based on my quote-unquote expertise, my knowledge. And there will definitely be a lot of examples, but I will definitely avoid giving real names. But please, I have no intention to hurt or blame or downgrade anyone in this presentation. If in the event I do get, touch some practices and it hurts the organization or the individual, there is no intention. It's just barely a learning experience. So as a member of PAMJE and APAME, being supported by the Philippine Nurses Association, being the editor-in-chief of the PJN, the purpose of this presentation is basically purely for sharing and for learning purposes. So whatever images that I have placed or I have used here are from Google and from my personal files. So there is no copyright infringement that is intended. So all I have properly acknowledge my sources. So I will not go through this presentation, the aims of this presentation, because OJ Jimenez has already done it. So we hope to go through this presentation, but I did some modifications, but it will still answer these three presentations or these three objectives. Well, I love the title of your seminar, Nurturing Research Capacity Among Nurse Educators, from problem identification right up and publication. Yun yung binigay sa akin ni Ma'am Sheila. And why do I love your seminar? Because the word that I love best and that's closest to my heart in nursing is the word nurturing above caring. Because when you nurture, you care. And when you nurture, it means you transform care and lives in the context of research. So that's why I really love the title of your seminar. And yes, indeed, this is what research is all about. We nurture because we want to transform the kind of care and we want to transform the lives of our patients. So we use research to transform care and lives. Okay, so and it's not just, research is about evidence-based practice. So and evidence-based practice is towards the quality of life, about the quality of the care that we give to our clients, be it in the academy, be it in practice, be it anywhere else. And thus research sustains the quality. And this is what we want to attain. That is why we are all here today. And with the global scenario that we are undergoing, there is no way but indeed to transform lives and to transform care. And I was telling Ma'am Sheila earlier that I was becoming nervous because the participants of this seminar is so global. Sabi nga ni Cyrus, no, meron pang from the US, from Thailand, from China. Wow. I just wish really that we can have more informal time to talk to each other. But let this be a beginning. And when we talk of quality, when we talk of transforming care and lives in the, and we who are in the academe, I would like to believe that this is a very heterogeneous group. We have students enrolled in the nursing program. We have bachelor's degree registered nurses. We have enrolled in the Masters of Arts in Nursing, and we have also graduate students, both who are masters and PhD holders. So it's a very heterogeneous group, and I really hope that what we will share today will be something that will touch us, will touch our lives at whatever level we are in. And being in the academe, I guess we need to accept what we are here for. As academicians, as a member of a university, especially I'm reaching out now to faculty members, we have threefold, in fact fourfold yan. Some are doing basic yung threefold, the others can have fourfold functions. All of us teach to disseminate knowledge. All of us do extension work or public service so that whatever knowledge we know, we apply it to the public. And all of us are expected to do research. All of us, in fact, do research because we should generate knowledge so that this knowledge gets translated again, gets to be disseminated in our teaching, in our extension work or public service, and it becomes a cycle. So in the middle of all this is that knowledge that we produce for our people. Okay, so the fourth fold is basically being an administrator. Of course, not all of us becomes administrators, but there are those who will have fourfold functions at one point in their lives in the academe. So as academicians, we need to commit ourselves to these 3 or 4 foci higher education institution objectives. And usually we do quantitative and qualitative and mixed method researches. And whether it's quantitative or qualitative research, we see that communication and utilization of findings basically is the end all. Is an end goal of doing research. After doing research, we have to communicate. Of course, the other one is mixed method. I grabbed this slides from the webinar seminar on mixed method by Dr. John Creswell, which he delivered last December 5, 2020. And when we do either qualitative or quantitative or mixed method, the end goal basically is to disseminate that findings or our findings. We don't go through the business of doing research without disseminating our findings. And thus, we look at, we need to keep that perspective. And that dissemination, that end goal is always publishing. There's a saying, even if you read Brunner, Burns and Grove, Burns and Grove or Pollitt and Hangler, you will note that the end goal of any research is to make it a piece of evidence, and that piece of evidence must be published. And that is something that each and every one of us has to do. So even the undergrad students who are here with us this morning, you have to bear in mind that we wish that whatever research you do can be published and should be publishable. And so therefore, the entire gamut of this presentation looks at, conducting research, writing this research, and publishing this research. So it's a tall order for a 45 to 1 hour presentation, but indeed this is something that we'll try to do kahit pahapyaw lang, because we can, we pass through it, we breeze through it, and then we'll try to come again together, no, in some other time, informal, it can be, and work on this. But what I would like to mention here is when we do research, there are givens. Meron nang nandyan na, there are things that are given in the past, today, and in the future. This will not change. And my dear colleagues, no, and my dear students, this is what we have to bear in mind. In doing research, there should be that genuine interest of doing research, and that we need to adhere to our philosophical underpinnings of whatever research methodology we choose, whether it's quantitative, qualitative, or mixed method. We need to accept the fact, no, that research is hard work. It entails rigor. It entails trustworthiness of the data. Non-negotiable yan. Okay? Research entails, here's your the favorite word that we have that I like, nurturing environment. We cannot do research in our institutions, in our hospitals, in our universities if the environment is nurturing. If leadership and resources and policies are not nurturing to research environment, they have to be nurturing. They have to be supportive. Ethical practice. Research entails ethics, no? Non-negotiable din yan. No? The purpose of conducting research should be based on ethics, and that is non-negotiable. The third, the next one is reflexivity. Given na ito, actually this is a present and will be a future given. We need to have a reflexive practice. We need to rethink of our methodologies, the ways we have affected the findings or the data that we have collected. And it means also humility and openness, no, of us researchers to self-critic and to be critiqued by others. That is something that we have to adhere to. And of course, the heart of all this is, I guess, the passion for research. Without passion, research will always be something that will be a burden to anyone who will do it. It shouldn't be a burden, because if you have that passion, you will do it with all your heart. You will do it ethically with all the hard work, come up with the rigor and the trustworthiness of your data, and you will translate your results into evidences, into policies, and strategies that will contribute to people's lives. That's passion. Without passion, you will just do research, and after you have done that research, you have received your BSN degree, you have received your MAN or MSN, you have received your PhD, that's it, tapos na. It's done, it's over. No, that's not what research is all about. That is not passion in research is all about. You need to translate that into something concrete. And that's why the end is to publish whatever work you have done. Publish it in refereed journal and do ethical publishing. This will be the gamut of our discussion. This will be where our discussion this morning will revolve. Okay? So bear this in mind. These are givens. Hindi ito negotiable. These are not negotiable. Bear this in mind. So according to Dr. Ernest Domingo, who was then the keynote speaker of the PNHRS week which was conducted in Camp Janhay, Baguio in 2018, he said that the bottom line of doing research, it's not so much about excellence. No? Yung iba kasi gusto nila excellent sila sa pagko-conduct ng research. I think the bigger and the higher motivation of doing research is how you become relevant. Relevance. Kasi pwedeng excellent ka pero nandun ka lang sa alapaap din, hindi ka rin nakatuntong sa lupa. Hindi ka relevant. So over and above being excellent is being relevant. So you as a researcher should be able to respond, no, to inequalities, to powerlessness, to what is happening around you, to what is happening in our healthcare delivery system, what is happening in the environment in our country. So it is what we know, what we can do, what we can translate in the community, in our organizations, in our environment. And we can only do this when we base our researches on sources that are reflective of the realities of our times. And usually we have the National Unified Health Research Agenda, or the NURA, or the National Higher Education Research Agenda, or the NERA. So this is now the first part. This is now your first objective, which is to recognize common sources of researchable problems in nursing education. And to be relevant, you need to know where you should find the sources of your data, and one of which is the NURA, no, the National Unified Health Research Agenda, which usually the latest one or the present that we have is from 2020. Every 5 years kasi ito napapalitan, no? The NURA gets to be changed or revisited every 5 years. So the current one has 6 themes, of which is also translated in the Regional Unified Health Research Agenda. So in your region, you will also find out that you will have your own your Regional Unified Research Agenda. And I was saying that every 5 years it gets to be revisited. So we started this in 2011, up to 2016, then we had 2006 nga muna to 2010, then we had the 2011 to 2016, and now the current one is 2017 to 2022. So if you want to get relevant topics, then this is one of the documents that you might want to revisit. This is downloadable. The DOST also has come up with a harmonized National Research and Development Agenda for 2017 and 2022. And you will see here that the second section of this harmonized National Health Research and Development Agenda is all about health. Now, all the other sections will entail about agriculture, natural resources, industries, and so forth and so on. So if you are interested in all this, you can get hold of this. This is also downloadable. And of course, yung mga nasa academe, nandun yung NERA. I think all of you are familiar with this, but unfortunately, the NERA has not been, I think, still undergoing some changes, are revisiting, because the NERA 2, first we had NERA 1 and NERA 2, and had that 10 years din ba siya? Yeah, 10 years. So it ended in 2018, but but it will be good to have it revisited, because even the UNESCO says that knowledge creation, transmission, and application are the lifeblood of the knowledge-based economy. And who is in the knowledge-based economy? Us, those in the academe, higher education, because it is our business to generate, transmit, and disseminate and apply knowledge. Exactly what I mentioned to you earlier. And also, UNESCO further says that vigorous and high-quality research underpins and nourishes degree-level learning environments, especially for the graduate and postgraduate programs. It provides the inquisitive, critical, and independent regimen that develops intellectual capability and advances the boundaries of knowledge and understanding. Very crucial ang role natin na nasa academe. And you also have this, well, it's not again updated, but I guess what CHED wants us to do is still to come up with researches in line with policies that has something to do with quality and excellence, relevance and responsiveness, utilization of information and communication technology, access and equity, and efficiency and effectiveness. So when we do researches in the academe, the higher education, the Commission on Higher Education tries to give these areas for us to look into. Okay, so, and of course, you have your own research agenda. So this becomes the source of research that you might want to do. All the institutions that have been mentioned by Cyrus earlier definitely would have a research agenda. More so because the Commission on Higher Education has a memorandum or an administrative order that every university must allot 5% of its, no, 2%, 5% kasi is sagad, gender and development. 2% of the MOOE should go to research. So there should be funding. There must be funding in every university if indeed a university adheres to that, to the CHED's memorandum. Again, I say the bottom line. The bottom line, according to Dr. Domingo, is relevance. Let us be relevant in everything we do. And we become relevant if we respond. Hindi lang gagawa ng research dahil gusto kong gawin ito, I type ko ito. This is what I like. No. We do research because it is what is relevant. It is what is important. And this is what the need of the organization is. The need of higher education or the need of the country. So that's, we need to remain relevant. Thus, we need to have research because it is the fundamental tool in an evidence-based practice. And when we say evidence, it means research. We cannot have an evidence-based practice without research. We cannot have an evidence-based practice without publishing our researches. You know, we've been talking about evidence-based practice for the longest time I could remember. I think I was a governor in the Philippine Nurses Association in the early 2000s, and the president then was now OIC president of one state university in Region 3 in Nueva Vizcaya, and that's Ruth Padilla, OIC president Ruth Padilla. And she came from a conference, an ICN conference, and she brought home a book on evidence-based practice. Kasi sabi niyang ganun, na-curious ako kasi lahat ng pinag-uusapan naman sa conference ay evidence-based, sabi niya. So that was early 2000. So I had to buy a book so that all of us will know what evidence-based practice is. But I guess since then, it has always been, evidence-based has always been very theoretical. And I came close to evidence-based, and I always love saying this story because it was Dr. Daiwai Olson basically who put me on the ground to understand what evidence-based practice is. So for those who have met Dr. Daiwai Olson, he comes to the Philippines every now and then, and he's indeed an evidence-based practitioner, a nurse who is now with Dallas, no, in Texas. He used to be, when he came to the Philippines, he was connected with Duke University. And what I love with Daiwai is he's a researcher, he is an academician, and he is a practitioner. Alam nyo, magandang pag-aralan talaga yung ganitong model na meron kang isang nurse na he practices 20 hours a week. He teaches both in the College of Nursing and in the College of Medicine. He's the only nurse that teaches in the College of Medicine, neuroscience. And he does research. While he is practicing, he is researching. 3-in-1. So parang pwede pala. So sa atin kasi dito sa Pilipinas, kung academician ka lang. Hindi ka, pumupunta ka lang sa practice kung ikaw ay nagpa-follow up ng mga estudyante. Doon siya hindi. She really gets some time to practice. to do and he stays in the ICU, of the neuroscience intensive care unit of Duke University, and now with Dallas, no. So yun yung maganda kasi ginagawa niya yung threefold. And when he came to the Philippines, the first thing he taught me was really what evidence-based practice is. Just by going with him, and so many stories that I had with him, but I'll just relate to you the first encounter when we went to Davao, and we went to Brokenshire Hospital, and we went to the ICU. And he did his practice of going straight to where the patient is, and the staff nurse, the nurse in charge, had to run after him and ask him to change his shoes into the slippers that is being used in the ICU and to put on a gown. And so Dr. Daiwai gave a puzzled look to the nurse and said, "Why?" And syempre nag-confess yung nurse sa akin noon, tapos sabi niya, "Ano ba naman itong bisita mo, Ma'am Caster?" Siya pa ang nagtatanong ng why. Dapat alam niya, di ba? Tapos sabi gano'n ng nurse, "Oh well, to prevent infection," sabi niya kay Daiwai. And Daiwai said, "Oh, what's your evidence?" Syempre nga yung nurse, kasi anong evidence? Sabi niya, so sinabi ni Daiwai, "So what's your piece of evidence that changing shoes and putting on a lab gown indeed prevents infection?" No? Edi, that was the close, yun yung evidence. And so what Daiwai was saying is we keep practicing. We do a lot of practices, but we don't have a piece of evidence for it. It's just practice. So nung nakita na naman niya on the wall yung nakasulat na 9 a.m. supine, 11 a.m. left lying, etc. And he said, "Wow, why every 2 hours? Why not 1 hour and 1 hour and a half? Why not 1 hour and 50 minutes? Why 2 hours? What's your evidence?" Siyempre nga, wala namang evidence yung nurse talaga kung hindi nabasa. It's a practice na kay Lachman and Sorensen, na kay Brunner, na you have to turn your patients every 2 hours. But there's no piece of evidence. Okay? And she moved on to the nurse who was feeding a patient. And the nurse said, "Oh, I'm feeding the patient, and I added, it has 3 egg yolks, etc., etc." And Daiwai says, "Why 3 egg yolks? Why not 4? Why not 5? And the nurse said, it's the doctor's order." You see, we don't have that piece of evidence. So what we're trying to say here is to improve, to nurture, to transform care and lives of our patient. Our care must be evidence-based, and it has to be research-based. And there are now a lot of journals that will attest to this. And I leave you to look at these journals, read articles, so that we can indeed practice, we can indeed have an evidence-based practice. So when we say evidence-based practice, we need to read researches, we need to read journals, we need to, of course, disseminate our findings, because we need to change existing healthcare practices. And when we do an evidence-based practice, it is moving away from basing our decisions on opinion, on past practice, and a precedent towards a more the use of science, the use of research, the use of evidence, so that it will guide our clinical decision making. So it's also the process by which the nurse makes clinical decisions using the best available research evidence. So basically, it is based on patients' preferences and values, the clinical expertise, and that piece of evidence from research, so that we can do some innovations in our decision making, and thus this will improve to quality patient outcomes. So that piece of evidence basically is just like a steering wheel with your clinical expertise, with the value and preference of the patients towards, again, your decisions and that quality patient outcome. So that's how our researchers contribute to the quality patient care. So that we do not do the things that have not that were being done and does not have evidences. And I would like to share with permission the slides that were presented in one of the national conferences that we had in Baguio City, where Dr. Prataporn Tungkunkum, of Chiang Mai University in Thailand attended and was one of our resource speaker. And I love her presentation on evidence-based practice, and I asked permission from her to share her presentation in whatever opportunities that I have. And this is an opportunity to share with you what evidence-based practice is, because this is the gamut of our lives as nurses, especially whether you are in the academe, in practice, or anywhere else. So what Dr. Prataporn was saying is that because of the varying practices and the spiraling cost of healthcare, we need to adopt an evidence-based practice, because he says that patients are not being given treatments that are based on the best available evidence. And according to a study, this is a piece of evidence again, 43% of patients do not receive recommended care. 30% receive care that is unnecessary or even potentially harmful. And that compliance with evidence varies from either from a spectrum of 11 to 82%. This cannot be. We need to have a more compact, a closer compliance. And so therefore, this happens because we cling to traditional practices. Much of the nursing care that we do are centuries old wisdom, and we're not saying they're not wrong. In fact, they're okay, but we need to find out more evidences, because there might be better ways of doing things. Okay, so 72.5% of registered nurses consulted their colleagues when they are in doubt. They did not consult the books, or they did not consult the journals or results of researches. And maybe these colleagues themselves are not as updated as they are. And only 24% of registered nurses use health database such as SINAL. Thus, we need to embrace an evidence-based practice so that we can make sound decisions, we can save time, we can save energy, and we can save cost. Just like this one, according to Dr. Patraporn, in one study, the clinical problem was very high relapse rate because the patient stopped taking medication. So what in one evidence, they found out that a medication enhancement program and using telephone visit after a patient has been discharged led to higher medication adherence, lower relapse rate, and high quality of life. So as a piece of evidence, we need to adopt such a practice, because if we are not doing follow-up visits, or just a telephone call can maybe help, and ask them, how are you doing? How are your medications? What medications have you taken at this time? Just to check on how they are doing. So if before we need to manage our time, our resources, then we just have to work smarter, not just working hard, through an evidence-based practice. So again, according to Prataporn, the nurses, I think I have mentioned this already. And so we need to practice an evidence-based practice. However, we seem not to be ready for it, because a lot of nurses do not have the knowledge and skills that are associated with EBP, such as research skills, information and technology skills, and of course, the transformation or transforming the required data into research questions. That is why one of the things that you wanted to was, how do we do a review, or how do we do or write up the findings and the discussions, etc. Okay, so we need all these competencies so that we can embrace an evidence-based practice. Okay, so we need also to know, if we are reading a research article, ano ba ito, maganda ba ito, is it something that I can adapt, no? Competency in evaluating the evidence base according to a set criteria. So sabi nga ganon na Lee Hung Wook, who was then the WHO General Director in 2005, he says that action without knowledge is wasted effort, and knowledge without action is wasted resource. Imagine all the researches that you have conducted that are not in print, that are not accessible to the practitioners, to all, and all other nurses. These are all wasted resources. And so therefore, you need to publish. And I am, of course, it's a way of advertising. Sorry, it's unethical, but being the PJN editor-in-chief, there is a venue for you to publish your articles. We are very caring. We are nurturing, especially the beginning researchers who want to publish their articles. So indeed, nurturing research capacity among educators is necessary so that we can have an evidence-based practice so that everybody can conduct an ethical and wise and rigorous research. So according to Burns and Grove, we all have a role to play in research. And this is always my favorite. No? In fact, this is also what the Board of Nursing wants to tell everyone, that every nurse must know his or her role in research. If you are a Bachelor of Science in Nursing graduate or a Bachelor of Arts graduate, you must know how to critique research findings and use it in practice. Okay, so your role is to use research findings in research. Use, and you know how to critique. If you are an MS or an MA, Masters of Arts or Master of Science, you must be conducting collaborative researches now. You must be conducting or you must be providing clinical practice for research. Kaya kayo nagiging advisors ng mga students doon sa Bachelor of kumukuha ng nursing. Kaya when a dean will tell me, naku, pagod na ako nagtuturo ng research, walang gustong kumuha ng research load sa aking faculty. That's wrong practice. If you are a faculty member and you are a master's degree holder, this is your role in research. You have to provide clinical practice for research. Hindi mo pwedeng hindian ang load galing sa dean na maging advisor, because that is your role. Kung hindi, tanggalin mo na lang yung MS or yung MA after your name, kasi you are not living up to the expectation of what an MS or an MA holder is. And if you are a PhD, you have to develop knowledge through research and theory development. Kaya nga ang aking hamon sa lahat ng PhD student, what is your research? It must contribute to theory development. It must contribute to a body of knowledge of nursing or whatever doctorate you are doing, but in Doctor of Education. So therefore, it must contribute to the body of knowledge in education. It must, if you are doing Doctor of Public Health, then it must contribute to the body of public health. And some of you are even doing postdoctorate. So if you're doing postdoctorate, you must do collaborative funded researches. And I am happy to maintain the PhD after my name because I am living up to the expectation of what a PhD is. Okay, so ganyan palagi. Magandang tignan natin. Magandang i-analyze natin yung ating mga role. And we can only do this if we remain true to the philosophy, to the trustworthiness, to the rigor and reflexivity, which are the pillars of, this is not just qualitative research, this is also on quantitative research. So we need to have always a beginner's eye or beginner's mind. Sabi nga dito ni Zen, a Zen quote, no, by Shunryu, and he says that in the beginner's mind there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind there are very few. What do you want to be called? An expert or a beginner? And that's why I always say kanina, expertise, quote unquote, no? Because as much as possible, no one wants to be called an expert. Kasi pag sinabing expert ka na, wala ka nang pupuntahan, no? Parang close ka na sa mga ideas. That's why it's nice to be a beginner because it means that you keep on learning and learning and learning. So it's not a derogatory term. In fact, it is a how do I say this? An honor to say a researcher who always espouses a beginner's mind. Fantastic. Okay, so again, as an academician, we are accountable to society for providing high quality, ethical, and acceptable services to our students, to our patients, to whoever our clients are. And that, in so doing, whatever we do, we need to constantly evaluate them. I just did a research on how mayong teaching, no? Teaching in the pandemic. What is a good way of assessing? What is a good way? Sometimes we mistrust our students so much. And paano kung mag-cheat sila? Paano kung ano? I've done away with all those exams. So because pieces of evidence are saying that your students will respect you if you respect them too. If you trust them, your students will not give you a piece of paper that is plagiarized or that is stolen from somebody else. You know, so it's very important to apply these things, no? And that's why I don't ask my students when I give them a case study. I do not ask anymore to expound, to analyze, but I make a piece of evidence has shown that having them do a conceptual map might help. And so I applied it. I asked my students now, I gave a case and do a conceptual map in analyzing the case. And wonderful. I received so much rich outputs from the students. And you know, you also enhance the creativity of the students. And this is evidence-based. There are some nurses who would say, ano daw yung business ko for talking about evidence-based, hindi naman ako practitioner. Excuse me, practitioner po ako. Any one of us who has, who has business of providing care, whatever that is, in practice, in the ICU, in the outpatient department, in the emergency room, in the classroom, anywhere else, you have the business of doing evidence-based practice. In fact, we have to improve our ways of doing things. So yan, no? Hindi, ang evidence-based practice, my dear colleagues, are not just for those in the hospital. Evidence-based practice is for everyone. It's the business of everyone because we need to provide quality services, no, to everyone we serve. As we have said, we need to remain relevant by doing an evidence-based practice. And in one of the researches that I found, no, sabi nga ganon, kaya nahihirapan nga daw tayo maging mag-practice ng evidence-based kasi organizational factors contribute to 80 to 90% of research utilization. Meaning to say, kunwari isang organization, gusto nating magkaroon ng access to journals, wala namang journals, wala namang internet, no? So parang ang hirap, no? Ang hirap, walang utilization. Or you want to attend a conference, no? You want to attend a conference, you want to present your paper, especially nung hindi pa ganito, no? Nung face-to-face pa, wala namang funding na ibigay para mag-travel ka, wala namang funding na ibigay para mag-present ka ng paper. So wala, no? Syempre kung yung salary mo is not even enough for you to pay, punta ka sa US, magkano ang magagastos mo pag magpunta ka ng US? More than $2,000 sa airfare na lang, sa registration fees, sa hotel accommodation, kung wala kang kakilala doon sa pupuntahan mo. You know, we need all this support. So it's not really the individual nurse ang may kasalanan kasi 1 to 3% lang daw yung cost ng nagko-contribute sa non-evidence-based practice. But 80 to 90 from the organization and 5 to 10% are from the environmental factors. Pag sinabing environmental factors, these are now things that you find in your environment, such as yun na nga, yung kakulangan ng mga facilities, etc. Okay? So, we need all this. Hindi pwede. As you will find out later on, it takes a team. It takes a team to nurture research. It's not just an individual, it's not just the environment, but also the organization. So we need to again, I just to reiterate, no, that as researchers you need to be true to your the philosophy, no, always hold a beginner's mind. And ito nga, no, I love what Manhal says, no, sabi niya, one without any noise, to hear the experience of the one who has experienced some phenomenon, the one who happens to be the real expert. Hindi naman tayo yung expert eh. The source of the information is the expert. No, tayo ay taga analyze, synthesize ng mga information. And my dear colleagues, my dear students, we need to come up with valid, trustworthy data. No, we need to come up with research findings that are indeed acceptable, indeed that are true, that are valid. We do not manufacture information. And of course, that's why we need to address rigor. We need to address validity and reliability issues, both in qualitative and quantitative research, and of course, even in mixed method. But you see, these are gaps that we find now in our midst. No, we need to establish credibility or the trustworthiness of the qualitative data and the rigor of qualitative. And these are the gaps that we need to respond to. And that's why we are having sessions such as this. And the fourth one, which I said was a future given in conducting research, is reflexivity. And when we talk of reflexivity, this is basically looking at how committed we are to be critic, no, our self-awareness. Sabi nga ganun dito, self-awareness, need to expand also that professional awareness to include analysis of the impact of our researches. How relevant are we? And sabi nga sa Facebook, gusto kong mag-flex. Sorry ha, mag-flex lang ako kasi I'd like to show you that in one of the articles that we have published, and this is reflexivity in qualitative research, a journey of learning, which is was published in February. When was this published? This was published in February February 12, 2017. You will see here that it has already 39,855 downloads as yun pala in February 12, as of today. Bakit ako natutuwa? Why am I flexing myself and trying to tell you this? Because this output of my sorry to use the word my, but of our research team on this reflexivity really looks at how we have reflected on the things that we are doing. And it means to say that this particular research work is very valuable because 40,000 people will, more or less 40,000 people will not download it if they don't find it worthy of reading. And again, if I could say, I invite you to, actually after I have published here, after in 2018, I was invited by TQR to be part of the editorial board. So I am now part of the editorial board of this journal. Scopus listed. And again, I would like to flex further because if we go to the most popular papers, in fact, when it started, it was number 2. But since now, but I'm still happy that it is still among the top read paper. It's still in the top 10. So I hope you can also find time to read this paper. Okay, so that's how it, oh, by the way, so how do I go back now? Oh, yeah. So that's reflexivity. It's something here to stay. So sorry for bragging about it. But going to the second and the third, what do you call this, objective, I'd like to tell you that all of this, much of the sharings that I would like to tell you is the guidelines. If you are, whether you are using the APA, the American Psychological Association form and style or not, it will give you very valuable ways of writing your findings, your discussion, or this, the anatomy of a scientific paper. No, the anatomy of scientific paper is just like a glass hour. Na parang ano siya, a glass hour thing, because you have 1 to 3 for the introduction, no, and then 4 is the methodology, 5 are writing the results, 6 will be the discussion, and 7 will be the conclusion. I'll try to look at this one by one in a little while, but our concern here basically is publication. And towards publication, you need to write. And if you have to write, you have to be guided. And I'd like to introduce to you the PAMJE faculty and facilitators of the medical writing for publication training workshop. I think some of you who might be in the audience are have been part of this writing and training workshop. We hold it twice a year. So we will hold it again very soon. So watch out for the announcement, because we will be accepting scholars to be part of this training program. We usually get 30 per training. And even in the face-to-face, we used to give them free accommodation. They just take care of their transportation. But once they are with us, whether any part of the country, their hotel accommodation and everything is free. They just have to come, no? But you need to submit a draft paper that indeed you have a paper to write and to publish. Yeah. So our head here is Dr. La Peña, and this is Dr. Lazarte. And all of this, actually lahat ng mga ito ay mga doctors at mga biochemists, pharmacists, iba-ibang discipline, pero dominantly doctors. I am the only nurse in the team. And I hope that in the future, there will be more nurse facilitators to join us. Okay, so if we are, because sabi nga natin, magra-write tayo dito, di ba? So even when we are preparing for writing, then we need to prepare ethically. No? Ethical reporting is very important. It has to be planned from the very beginning. And this is where we have to go through the ethics review committee approval. So the CHED and the PCHRD are helping universities and hospitals to set up their ethics review committee boards. And this is where we submit our research proposals to ensure na hindi tayo nagva-violate ng ethics. Kung wala pa yan, then we ensure that we obtain permission, hindi tayo magpa-plagiarize, no, citation is very important. If hindi pa adult yung ating respondent, we need to have consent and assent, no? And we should also look at the briefing processes. So all of this nakalagay lahat po yan sa APA APA 2020 edition. This is 7th edition now. That's the latest edition. So another one is when we are writing our article, our paper, whether it's already a full-blown article or just still the research report, citation is very important. No? Scientific knowledge represents the accomplishments of many researchers over time. So you have to acknowledge the sources of your information. And sabi nga dito, proper citation is one of the most basic knowledge and skill that you should learn and practice in and out of the university. Nakakalungkot, no? Pero lahat ng mga articles that I receive for PGN are subjected to Turnitin or plagiarism check. Nakakalungkot kasi lately, no, I have received 80% similarity. What is 80% similarity? Means 80% of the paper has been copied. So ano na yung originality? Eh wala, ibig sabihin hindi mo sinite yung references. O anong gagawin? Eh maganda yung papel. Pero copied naman siya. So what will we do? Kung sinubmit nyo yan sa international journal, kung hindi yan predatory, outright reject na kayo. No? Ibig sabihin na violate nyo na ang ethics of publishing, and that's the #1 problem in publication. So in PJN, syempre, we are nurturing, so we will say, this is the result of your similarity check. Please go over the results, and if you are amenable to do what is necessary and resubmit. Hindi namin ina-outright na reject. And then, we try to subject it again to turn it in or plagiarism check until it is acceptable. What is acceptable? 10 to 15% similarity. Okay? So beyond that, we try to ask you to do a little bit better. Kung minsan 20%, kung tinitingnan namin yung sources, sige na rin. Okay? So you avoid plagiarism and even self-plagiarism, meaning to say, yung mga pare-parehong data, wag niyong gagamitin uli sa isang research, no? Yun you need to acknowledge pa rin na this came from this source of data which has been published. So kailangan i-acknowledge nyo pa rin. Avoid self-plagiarism because self-plagiarism is still unethical. This I did not know. No, for the long, I mean, I knew it maybe 5-10 years ago, but before this, we have not heard of what self-plagiarism is all about. Okay, so also you need to protect the rights and welfare of your sources. No, you protect confidentiality, strategies to disguise identifying materials, the conflict of interest. No, marami ang mga journals ang nagre-retract ng kanilang articles kasi hindi nila dinidisclose yung conflict of interest. Halimbawa, yung funding, maganda yung reviews mo about a certain drug or about a certain strategy. Yun pala, ang source of funding mo ay yung mismong drug company o yung gumawa nung manual or something like that. So, kailangan i-reflect mo ang mga yan para yung conflict of interest ay makita. Lately, there was a Japanese author who had very good articles, gaganda, no, about a drug. And then finally, nalaman na ang kanyang hindi niya dinisclose na ang kanyang funding agency is the company who is producing the drug that he has been studying. So all his research has to be retracted. And you know, in Japan, when there is self-shame, you know, sometimes it's the end of your career. You protect intellectual property rights and authorship. I shall be discussing authorship in a little while. No, yung order of authorship, those who are professional authors, who are student authors, no, and what can student assignments be can be submitted? Yes, student assignments can be submitted. If you look at the latest of the past PGNs for the past 2 years, we have been publishing concept analysis. And these concept analysis are products of PhD students who are enrolled in the PhD program. And concept analysis is now something that is accepted because they contribute to body of knowledge. Okay, publication usually follows the IMRAD format: introduction, methods, results or findings, and discussion, conclusion, recommendation. And of course, it starts with an abstract which would have keywords. Again, your manual will tell you, will give you the guidelines, no? Will give you the guidelines on what to write under abstract, whether it is a paragraph or it is a ang tawag doon yung whether it's going to be by background, yung background niya, methods, kung ganun din, no? Or sometimes they some would just say isang paragraph lang and you put it all together, but you will know which part of the abstract, which part it is in the abstract, parang ganyan. So you should know that when we are publishing, you must know which journal you are submitting to. Do not start publishing without knowing what the journal is. And the first thing you have to do is to grab a copy of the journal and read the guidelines for authors. Do not start writing without knowing what is expected of you, without knowing what format to use. APA ba yan? Harvard ba yan? Chicago style ba yan? Etc. So you need to find out what it is. How to keywords, no? How many keywords are necessary? How many number of words in an abstract? All of these are in the guidelines. Halimbawa nito, yung keywords, no? Phrases or acronyms that describe the most important aspects of your paper. They are used for indexing in databases. So meaning to say, when people would like to search, no, dapat para makuha nila yung sinesearch nila at yung research mo ang isa sa mga yon, the keywords are very important. So when you write keywords, sabi nga ganoon, keywords are in italic, one line below the abstract, indented 0.5 inches like a regular paragraph, followed by keywords in lowercase but capitalized proper nouns, ganyan. So dito mo makikita sa page 39 ng APA for form and style. So I love APA because it gives me the ways on how to go about writing. Okay. In the introduction, in the hourglass, you will see that 1, 2, 3 will be all about the introduction. And that's why when in our training, we give the 3-paragraph rule in writing the introduction. If you go over to some journals, naku, 1 page, 2 pages na yung introduction, then methods. No, introduction must be very brief. No, it must be about 3 to 5 paragraphs. But as we have said, PAMJ is just introducing the 3-paragraph rule. The first the first paragraph is about what is known, no? Our understanding of the world. No? What is known, and then you go to paragraph 2, what is unknown? What is the gap? And then when you go to the 3rd paragraph, how and why should you fill the gap? So diyan napapasok yung mga research question nyo, yung rationale nyo, yung purpose nyo. So ganun lang siya, hindi and very minimal lang yung mga citations dito, because the citations, your RevLit will all go to your discussion. Okay? So your introductions usually this is, sabi nga gano'n ng word-wise, a reader's first true interaction with your work is the introduction. Kung hindi maganda ang pagkasulat, usually they will not read it anymore. So it's sometimes also another window to your research because it gives the context of your paper. Then you move on to your methods, which is number 4. And here you just have to describe what did you do. And this is written, no? With the thought that it must be reproducible, meaning to say whoever reads your methods must be able to follow it, So if they cannot follow, then there is something wrong with your methodology, right? So you need to accurately describe the process of how you chose the source of information, your subjects or participants, how you collected your data, how you manipulated your variables, and how you analyze your collected data. Then number 5 is your results. So what did you get? What did you find out? Okay? So it should be consistent, no? At saka pag results lang, huwag kayong mag-analyze. That's why in the PJN, results is different from is separate from discussion, but there are those who prefer to have results and discussion together. So what we do is to analyze. If it is properly written, then we accept it. But for beginners, we want the results to be separate from the discussion. Okay, so again, your APA form and your APA book will give you a very good discussion on how to write down your results. And the discussion, this is a very good place for you to answer the question, how do the results fill the gap? Okay, so this now interprets your findings. Now, why this particular study was needed to fill the gap in the scientific knowledge that we currently have, and why the gap needed filling in the first place. So sinasagot mo na. No? So your challenge basically is to write powerful discussion because this section fulfills the promise that you have cited in the introduction. Diba? Sinabi mo sa introduction that I'm going to fill in this gap, blah, blah, blah. So you have to fulfill that promise. So interpreting your findings is about seeing whether what you found confirms or does not confirm the findings of previous studies in your literature. That is why your review of related literature comes in handy here. But at the same time, you also have to say if there was something novel. So what's new? What can you add on to this body of knowledge? It comes in your discussion. And your conclusion and recommendation, what does this mean for us going forward? So ano na, what is the implication? So it draws together the arguments in your paper and lets the reader know your final thoughts about the topic. Okay, so it's very short. It's usually sometimes a paragraph or two, or short. It should not take about 10% of your paper. So you have journals who would just say 3,000 words, 4,000 words, 5,000 words article. So if it is that case, that it's just like about how many? 500 words if it's 10%. So you need to write. You need to be very strict about this, and there are some guidelines on how to write down your conclusions and your recommendations. So you're done, and you're done with the article, no? And so you now are ready to communicate. You're now ready to submit your article in any journal that you want, because of course, I'm with the PGN, as I'm saying, there's the PGN where you can submit. So research findings must be communicated, whether through a conference, orally, through a poster, or at the end, the highest form is through publication. Okay, so you need to publish. And this is where I want to spend some time saying that when you publish, no, you try to publish in peer-reviewed. PJN is a peer-reviewed journal. Kung maganda na ang pagkasulat at maganda yung internal review is from the board, no, editorial board. So that includes me, Dr. Anunuevo, and Dr. Cecil Laurente. Kung maganda yung internal review, we only choose one external review. Pero kung hindi masyadong maganda at meron kaming conflicting ideas, we get two external reviewers. And if there is a conflict between the two external reviewers, we get a third one. So ganun yung process, kaya it takes a while, no? Especially now, ang tagal, ang hirap kumuha ng mga external reviewers because of the situation. So you need a peer reviewer. Scopus then ang PJN. We have regained the Scopus, and it will soon be in the SINAL and other EBSCO platform. But here I would like to warn you about predatory journals, and I'll try to discuss predatory journals in a little while. So sabi nga ganon, publish ba or perish? Kasi nga tayo sa academe, I don't know, but in UP, if you enter UP without a master's degree, you have to take your master's degree in 5 years and publish. If you cannot publish and you cannot have your master's degree in 5 years, or even if you have your master's degree but did not publish, you perish. Meaning to say, out you go. No, but we've been quite compassionate lately because of the pandemic. Those who were due for tenure after 5 years were given a 1-year extension. So ayaw natin na publish or perish. We need publish, not perish. So it is remember the three functions of academicians. No, we teach, we do research, we produce knowledge, we produce evidences, and we do extension work. Do we publish for money? Do we publish for promotion? Do we publish for EBP? No. Of course, this could be a check for all, but what is the greatest reason? No, we publish for professional reasons. We do not publish for vanity. Oh, ang dami kong publications, ang dami kong what do you call this? Citations, no? Etc. Again, bottom line is relevance. If you can combine many citations, many publications, beautiful, wonderful, no? And relevance. It has to be at the end goal, relevance, because you become relevant, you are contributing to an evidence-based practice. So these are our colleagues from the UP College of Nursing, colleagues from US. This is Dr. Serafica with an American colleague. Dr. Serafica is based in Nevada, but you see, we receive articles from the US, from Indonesia, I was wondering nga kung bakit ang daming nagsasubmit ng publications natin sa PGN from Indonesia. And apparently they have recognized the PGN as a good venue to publish their research. So also Pakistan, no? Pakistan, Bangladesh, Thailand, US of course, no? Meron pang from Turkey, no? So actually the PGN is already receiving a lot of what do you call this? Recognition. We publish meta-analysis, no? It's also a research article and concept analysis. So again, my dear colleagues, my dear students, always remember, it is unethical and considered a scientific misconduct when one does not publish one's research output. This is from APAME. No, there are many scientific misconduct ngayon, yung publication of data, publication, plagiarism, and manipulation of data, or ano ba yun, yung not reporting true data that were collected. And the newest scientific misconduct is not publishing the research work, especially if it is funded research, lalo na kung pinondohan yan ng taxpayers' money. Kung meron kayong research from PCHRD, that funding is from taxpayers' money. So you have the obligation to give it back to the people. So research ethics in journals, maraming mga ethical concerns na titignan natin, pero ang pinaka-importante sa atin ay yung quality of reporting. So many possible articles, as I have said, no, pwedeng primary or original research articles, secondary or review articles. So I am submitting a research that I did for my research credit load for 3 units last semester, and I tried to do a comparative analysis of how 5 countries responded to the pandemic. So that is basically review articles. So it can be done, but it's the internal board says, blind review kami ha. So yung paper ko, pinadala ko sa board, and they found it a nice article, but they said that it may not be fit for the PJN, but be fit for a better journal, no, maybe a management journal or public health journal. So nung sinabi ko na, okay, thank you, that was my paper. And see, it's double blind, so I do not get a preferential treatment because I am the editor-in-chief of the PJN. So I'm looking now for a journal that can publish such an article. So we need to be familiar with what can be. By the way, the PGN has a portion that says nurses' voice from the field. So anything you want to write, anything about your experiences, about the pandemic, etc., we will put it under the nurses' voice from the field. Okay, so we need a good manuscript. And a good manuscript is one that is publishable. You communicate clear and useful messages to the readers and should also be exciting and would have an impact, according to Dr. Wilfred P. of Singapore. So we need that excitement, we need originality, we need to see it as relevant and important. So therefore, it has to be well written, it must have an excellent literature review, excellent up-to-date methodology, significant contribution to a literature, and must be concise. So if the journal says 5,000 words, 6,000 words, then it has to be within the word limit, right? So why do we publish? Again, not to perish, no? Publish or perish, publish, not perish thing. So we publish because we want to contribute to an evidence-based practice. Okay, so the need to publish basically is something that we have to do because we need to improve our practice in nursing, practice in medicine, in public health. We need to get trustworthy information. So, sabi nga dito, good publication practices do not develop by chance. It will become established only if they are actively promoted. So we need to promote. That's why we are here nurturing research. And that means nurturing also our publication practices. And this has something also, this has something to do about authorship. We need to follow the guidelines that is stipulated by the International Committee for Medical Journal Editors. And these are the following. You can only be an author if you have these 4 criteria, if you qualify in these 4 criteria. 1, you have substantial contribution to the conception or design of the work or acquisition, analysis, or interpretation of the data. 2, drafting the work or revisiting it critically for important intellectual content, and you finally approve the draft and you agree that you are accountable. Kasi pag bumalik yung research from the journal at sinabing this is a plagiarized, this is blah blah blah, this is, then you do not say, ay, wala akong kinalaman dyan. You cannot say that. You have to be held accountable. So these are the 4. And you have to agree before writing. Dapat alam nyo lahat ito. Hindi yung bawal yung, kasi nga, kaya kailangan natin ito. Kasi we have the public responsibility and accountability kung ano man yung laman ng papel na yon. And we need to promote the integrity of research publications. So, sino yung corresponding author? Sino yung mga authors? Sino yung first author? Paano yung flow ng authors? Sino yung first? Pag student research ba, yung advisor ang first author? No, never. In UP ito ha. In UP, the practice is if we are using if we are doing student researches, the students are always the first author. The student is always the first author. Kung marami sila, then alphabetically arranged, or the students will have to agree who comes first. But you are always the last because you are not the first author. You are the last author in a student paper. And you have no business writing a student paper if the students do not agree, because a student research is owned by the student. This is UP guideline. But if I don't know what the guideline is in your university, but that is what is ethical to us in UP. So, ang daming problema sa co-authorship. No, we encountered one problem in the PJN, and it involved a very prestigious co-researcher, a co-author, and no amount of writing that prestigious and well-known author, never did she acknowledge our query, because because the paper was not very good, and we asked what were the contribution of each author, because sabi namin this particular well-known author will not agree to submit a paper this of this quality. No? So, so meaning to say, it is possible na kaya hindi na siya sumagot na possible na yung main author just made him or her a gift authorship or gift authorship or honorary authorship na parang indebted lang siya sa kanya, parang ganun. And we do not want to have gift authorship dahil director siya ng research ng kanilang university, kaya isasama yung name niya pero wala naman siya, hindi naman niya na-qualify yung apat, no? Or some would just be pressured, or some theft authors, meaning to say, nakakalungkot ito. May mga theft authors na merong mga ideas, brainstorming, mga students. So what they do is to get ideas from their students, no? And then they write about it. So, ano yun? Theft author. Kung hindi yun sarili mo, dapat i-acknowledge mo. And dapat i-enjoy mo rin yung mga students or your colleagues to be part of such study. Ang dami. Ang daming issues sa authorship. No? Kung hindi ka mag-qualify, i-acknowledge mo na lang yung hindi mag-qualify. Pero bago ka mag-acknowledge, you have to find out whether they are willing to be acknowledged or not. Because if they do not want to be acknowledged, do not acknowledge them. Okay? So only those who meet the description can be considered authors. No to honorary authors, no to ghost authors. Okay? Ito pa, no simultaneous submission. Ako, Panginoong may lupa. Ang ano po, ang PJN, nakakatanggap, maya-maya magre-retract. Tapos sasabihin na it was accepted in another journal. Sabi ko, nag-submit ka sa amin. Ibig sabihin, nag-submit ka rin sa iba. So, alam mo na bawal. Dear students, bawal ang simultaneous. Dapat one at a time. Kung matagal yung journal, kung minsan ang PGN matagal, then retract. Sabihin mo na we have submitted this, we have not heard from you, so we are retracting and we are submitting it elsewhere. No, do not submit elsewhere because of one reason or the other. It is but for fitting for you to retract before you submit it to another. No image modification, yung grafting, yung maganda, yung sa computers, do not modify images, no? Selective publication, ibig sabihin hindi mo i-report lahat, i-report mo lang yung maganda. Salami publication, we accept that naman, no? Kung mixed method ka, you publish quanti, you publish quali, and then you submit both. But as much as possible, avoid salami. Publication. Okay? So, to avoid these problems about authorship, we encourage you to discuss it. We encourage you to discuss it while you are planning the paper. Okay? You decide na kung sino yung mga authors, sino yung una, hindi yung mag-aaway-away pag na-publish na. Right. And yon. Choose the journal that you choose the journal kasi baka predatory journal naman yung pagsasubmitan mo. So marami ang mga listahan ng mga predatory journals. Well, Bill's list has been silent. Bill has been silenced about these predatory journals. Bill is a librarian who made a study about these journals, and he found out there are many predatory journals, and so he published this. But I think lang, no? But there are rumors to say that he has been silenced. Politics of publication din kasi yan eh. So meron mga list of standalone journals, scholarly open journals, but they are also predatory, questionable, potential, possible, or probable predatory journals that are open access. No, nandyan na rin sila. No, so these are some literature that you might want to read, no, by Bill, by Clark and Sosa, Clark and Thompson about the predatory journals. The lists are all here. I cannot show you, but this PowerPoint presentation is open to all. You can access it. The link has been given to Ma'am Sheila, and she can just send the link to you, and you can open it. It's open to anyone who has the link. Okay, so there are hundreds of predatory journals that are indexed on leading scholarly database. This has been sent to me by Dr. Nino Loxim. No? Sabi niya ganun, sabi niya, wow, imagine even Scopus has stopped adding content from most of the flag titles kasi nga marami na nakakapasok na mayroong Scopus pero predatory. pero poor quality pa rin. So poor quality science is already infiltrating the literature. And who publishes in predatory journals? This particular article says that young and inexperienced researchers from developing countries are the ones publishing in predatory journals. So look at this editorial, making good choices about publishing in the journal jungle because of predatory journals. Read Journal of Advanced Nursing. Another one, authors and readers beware of the dark side of open access because some open access are also predatory journals. So you need to be aware of predatory open access journals. So you can also read this particular article. Okay, predatory journals and their publishing charges. No, PGN does not charge. It's not a predatory journal. There are journals that would charge, but BMJ, for example, we publish in BMJ $1,000 ang publishing fee. But BMJ has an impact factor of 25. No, it's very high. So tingnan nyo pa rin, may mga impact factor ba yan? Ano yung tingnan nyo kung they have the right to collect fees. But UP will pay the publication fee if indeed that journal is an ISI peer-reviewed journal. Okay. So eto daw the mean charges are $37, etc. So that means to say, paano na lang kung you have 100 natanso na nag-submit 100 articles times $37, ano pa lang yan, preliminary. Ang laki na nun, no? Aabot na yan ng 3,700 ilan na, 37,000 $3,700 na yon, or kung 94 tapos 100 o almost 100 ano na yon, how many $1,000 na yon. So it's money business too. Okay, so there are 5 reasons to publish your research in predatory journals daw, sabi ng article na ito, no? This was published in August 19 at sabi nila sa article na ito, I do not care daw about my external reputation. I do not believe in myself or my work. Publication numbers count most. O yan, kaya gusto niya maraming publications, kaya kahit na predatory, sige lang. I cannot be bothered to read. I have given up. Kaya predatory na lang ako nag-submit. So these are some of the 5 reasons. Okay? So again, these are the top countries, no, nang nagpa-publish sa predatory journals. Number 13 ang Philippines, number 1 ang Indonesia. Ay no, na pala, number 2 ang Indonesia. Kazakhstan ang number 1, no? So these are the countries that are publishing predatory journal articles, top to 20 bottom journals. Okay? So the rise of predatory nandyan lahat sa mga journals, so please read them. And we are now, and Jan, Journal of Advanced Nursing is now taking the leadership stand on predators. So they have come up with guidelines already. That's why we are quite strict now with publications. Sayang ang paper nyo kung sa predatory journal lang makakapasok. I'll give you an example of a predatory article, no? These are just some journals that talk about predatory journals. Kaya makikita nyo na very high priority ngayon ang predatory. Look at this, no? Close ko kung sino yung journal at saka yung author, but you can access this. Constipation problem in nursing students and effectiveness of intervention used by them for its management. Alam mo na, title pa lang sablay na, no? Pero nakapublish siya sa open access. Furthermore, look, received date, November 14, 2018. Published date, November 28. How can you have a publication within how many days? 14 days, 2 weeks, publish na kaagad? No way, Jose. Kasi definitely hindi yan peer review. Kung ganyan kaiksi. No, peer review. I peer review with BMJ, no, British Medical Journal, and they give me 1 month to review a paper. I review with TQR, they also give me 1 month to review a particular paper. Eto, 14, tapos 3 kami, 4 kami na nagre-review. No, so it doesn't work this way, my dear colleagues. So if you have this, strike it out. It's now in a, I don't bother reading it because it's not peer-reviewed. No? So ibig sabihin, it is not, you cannot use it for your evidence-based practice because it was not reviewed by your peer. So you have to be very cautious. You have to be very cautious in where to publish your journals. Your article. Avoid predatory journals. So my dear colleagues, what type of an author are you? If you are a tool for social change, we need to be ethical. Let us not claim what we have no right to claim. Avoid plagiarism. Be humble by being acknowledged, but it is your right to refuse the honor. If they ask you, I would like to acknowledge you, I always say, pag naging panel ako ng isang advisor, tapos the student will write acknowledgement, I would say, no, you don't have to acknowledge me because that was my task. It was not a special task. It is part of my task of being in the panel. So you don't have to acknowledge me. Parang ganon. Not that I don't want to be acknowledged, but I want to be acknowledged for what is right, what is proper. Now, if in the paper, I did contribute something beyond the regular dissertation or the thesis, then it's okay to be acknowledged. Siguro doon sa paper, nag-comment, nag-critic, nag-review, it's okay. But if it's just being because I was part of your panel, of your dissertation, then you don't have to. At least that's my perspective. So do not be gullible. When you become gullible, you end in predatory journals. So research publication must always be seen as a tool for social change. Remember, it is relevance. Remember, we are for an evidence-based practice. No? This is a Filipino model. This is a model that was conducted by, that was done by our nurses in Saudi Arabia. No, I just love their model, no, of EPP because it's very integrative. I forgot na the name, from Neva Ecija yung isa sa mga authors nito, wonderful. So I think I dinakuha yung ano. But anyway, towards the end of my presentation, I am sharing this. I think some of you would have joined the yung e-funds, and you heard Dr. Mari Ikeda talk about EBP. No, sabi niya we need to make research. No, parang kailangan research and evidence-based practice must be part of our everyday practice. And that is what they did in their institution in Japan. No? So sabi niya, first you have to be a member of a team, you develop a program, you initiate a research, and then you manifest the effect of the research, and then you translate that research into practice. So these are some of the advices that Dr. Ikeda, a board member of the e-funds, who just recently presented it, I think a week or two ago. So sabi niya, re-aim. So this is Dr. Ikeda. No, re-aim, this is the key to impact practice. This is the aim to an evidence-based practice. So re-aim is increase reach, increase effectiveness, increase adoption, increase implementation, and increase maintenance. So sabi niya. So this is how they put into practice naman yung ABP. Again, my dear colleagues, scholarly publishing is a long distance run. Marami pa tayong kakainin bigas. Marami pa tayong gagawin para ma-improve natin ang ating publishing. But the bottom line, again and again and again, and I will not tire saying this, it is relevance more than excellence. It is responding to inequities, responding to powerlessness. Be relevant. And as I've said, nurturing research, it takes a team. It takes a team to nurture research. So I got this, no? It's from the Office of Research, School of Nursing, University of California, Los Angeles. In any university, nurturing research is not just based or it doesn't lies on the shoulder of the VP for research or the coordinator for research. It involves everyone, the organization, the environment, and the individual. So we are now in the academy. When we were younger, before graduate school, we want to do anything. But now that maybe some of us are there, no, pag tenured professors, I'm going to research whatever my grant committee wants. And then when you are now a professor emeritus, I'm going to research whatever. Wala na kasi pwedeng research in peace na tayo. And I'm about to go to that stage, but I don't want to stop doing research. Okay, so with that, my dear colleagues, again, thank you for listening. Welcome the PAMJ research training team who you just write an invitation through the PCHRD, and the PCHRD will look for a team for you. Usually they also fund this, no? So meron lang kayong konting counterpart, but we will assist you in publishing. No? So these are the officers. Well, nagkaroon na ng change. Si Ma'am Lasarte na, Cecil Lasarte, Maramba Lasarte ang aming president. I continue to remain the VP for internal affairs for PAMJ. Okay, so my dear colleagues, let us bridge the gap towards publication. So maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikinig. Na extend po ng masyado yung aking presentation. But if there are any questions or sharings that you have already mentioned in the chat box or in the Q&A, I am more than willing to answer. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Dr. Palaganas, for such a very thorough, very comprehensive, detailed discussion and presentation about our topic this morning. I suppose our honored resource speaker deserves a loudest applause from everyone. Always impressive, always impressive and always impeccable. As we proceed further, sobrang galing, sobrang ganda. Very engaging. As we continue, I guess we are set to listen to our internal reactor. I would like to call on Ms. Aname Hever Quezon, please.
I have not taken off the slide yet, right? The shared slide.
Yes, Doc, please.
I need to take it out. Sorry. Now. Bakit hindi ko na matanggal? Apologies. Should be here.
Okay, just stop sharing lang siguro daw.
Yeah, I know. Can you just stop? I should stop it, right? Yun. Oh.
It's okay, ready, Doc.
Naka-stop share na ako, no?
Yes, Doc.
Yes, Doc.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. First and foremost, Dr. ERLINDA CASTRO-PALAGANAS, Dr. Castor, 2 words. Amazing and excited. Wow. Let me quote what you have mentioned. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. But in the expert mind, there are a few. Beginners, yes, we continue to learn. Nurturing research capacity among nurse educators. I would like to highlight the following important points. There are things given in the past, today, and the future that we can never change. We need to accept the facts that research is really a hard work, non-negotiable. It entails a nurturing environment. We need to have humility to be critic and to critic. And we need to have passion in making research. It should not be a burden, mind you, nurses. Bottom line, this is always the point of Dr. Castel. It's not about excellence. It is how you become relevant. You, as the researcher, be able to respond to what is happening in the environment. Doctor, you also mentioned different sources, and I am so thankful for that. Like the National Unified Health Research Agenda of 2017 to 2022, the DOST Harmonized National Research and Development, the NERA or the National Higher Education Research Agenda 2. Nag-prepare ako, Doc.
Very nice. Thank you.
It plays a very crucial role, no? And of course, all the universities and all of the colleges of nursing have their own research agenda. Again, she keeps on telling us this one, relevance and importance of research. Research, mind you, nurses, is a fundamental tool in evidence-based practice. When Dr. Custer shared about a visitor who came in and who asked nurses, why do you do this? Why do you do that? Because it was just written on the board, because we keep on practicing this one. That is so sad, because we need really to justify why we are doing it. And we can only justify by evidence-based practice and research, of course. We need to adopt an evidence-based practice, and there are better ways of doing things. We need to embrace evidence-based practice. That is according to Dr. Pataporn Tong Ponkong. Okay, students, so we have here students who are also participants. You need to know how to critique. For master's degree in nursing, conduct a collaborative research and provide clinical practice on research. And that is your role. And for PhD students like me, develop research that will contribute to development, contribute to body of knowledge of education. As academicians, we are accountable to the society for providing quality, ethical, acceptable services. We need to be relevant. We need to come up with research findings that are true and valid. We need to find gaps and we need to respond. We need to publish, not perish. This is to contribute to evidence-based practice. It is unethical and considered a scientific misconduct when one does not publish one's research output. We need to keep that one. Bottom line again, bottom line, not on the excellence, it's always on the relevance. What we know, what we can do, what we can translate in the community. And so with that, I'm so thankful and honored with your presence, Dr. Caster. And the inputs you have shared, indeed, we are all beginners. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
love it.
Quezon. We just so love it. Very scholarly observation and analysis. Beautifully said. Wonderfully taken. And after listening to Miss Quezon for that internal reactor, let us now listen from the external reactor's point of view. I would like to turn over the floor and the microphone to Miss Eve Rimando. Miss Eve, take it away.
Good morning to all the participants of this nurturing research capacity among nurse educators from problem identification, write-up and publication virtual forum of University of St. LaSalle, Bacolod College of Nursing engagement. It is what an honor to the iconic and well-esteemed Dr. Palaganas na imbag abigat. As a half Ilocana, you remind me of my home and my family and cousin to introduce myself. My name is Ives Mariel Rimando, RN MNCNN. I graduated my master's in nursing at St. and also taking up my Doctor of Philosophy in Nursing at University of St. LaSalle Bacolod Graduate School at the moment. I am also a nurse educator. This webinar made me come to light that being in the we have to accept our to do research in order for us to generate knowledge and work extension in the community, being an administrator. This is why we conduct research to write and then we publish. This webinar made me realize more of the importance of capacitating us to develop more research. I love it because of the word nurture, above caring, just as what the speaker said, which means transforming care and lives in the context of research, in which what the research really is all about. It entails hard work and passion to nurture. Nurture what? Nurture leadership, resources, policies, ethically. Because without passion, after writing the research, again, it is done. It is just done because it is needed to, and it is not published. And with this research, with nurturing passion, we are able to rethink what we can do and what we can translate in the organizations and what is reflective in the realities of the nursing education. It was mentioned as well the importance of getting to know your sources very well. So we have the NURA or the NUHRA as mentioned. That is well very inspiring that we have now the national higher education research agenda 2 and the research development and extension supported by the DOST and Commission of Higher Education. Commission of Higher Education or the CHED. We need to have research for the fundamental tool of evidence-based practice and publishing. We may be able to find out more, make more sound justifications for the need of our country. In conclusion, it is timely and just relevant to have attended this webinar. And as a student of Dr. Trajera, who has been my professor in nursing research in both my master's in nursing and Doctor of Philosophy in nursing, I am extremely very happy that this webinar is so engaging and I found so much new learnings. And I'm definitely sure all the participants did too. Nurturing research capacity among nurse educators from problem identification, write-up, and publication from the word itself. It supports nurturing as a better word for care, especially for the beginner researches. It emphasized research as a very necessary that everybody could conduct ethical and wise research. And us, nurses, we have our personal roles whether we be in the undergraduate, in the clinical area, master's degree holders, and the PhD. This helped me a lot as a PhD student as well, because it made me realize my research should contribute to theory development as well. So in which recently I developed my own theory with Dr. Cadena, which is the self-help theory. And this made me realize which I wish I could continue developing my own theory. Again, it highlights the very importance of publishing so that data, effort, and funds wouldn't be wasted, and for us to improve our ways of doing things and quality services to everyone and everybody that we serve. So we need to have valid and reliable sources. Again, we go back to publish or perish. So thank you, everybody. Have a good day. With God, anything is possible, and we can do all of this together as one. Animo Lasal.
Animo Lasal, thank you very much, Ms. Rimando, for such a very beautiful reaction. And thank you very much for all the effort that you have shared to this group and to everyone as well. Before we proceed further, I would like to take this honor and opportunity to read a sent in question coming from Dr. Jocelyn Mayflower A. Cadena. Dr. Castor.
Yes.
Yes,
Cyrus, I'm
Sir
listening.
Sir OJ, can you please flash the question again? Sir OJ?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
I'll just read the question by Dr. Cadena. Dr. Castor, thank you very much for sharing your expertise. May I ask if there is a standard number of citations to be included in the introduction? Thank you very much.
Wala naman. I don't think there's any number of citations, but minimal lang siya talaga. Kasi parang sa second paragraph nga lang siya or in the first or second paragraph kasi what is and then what has been found out. So mas doon siya papasok. But you reserve all the others for the discussion. Basta matugunan mo lang yung what has been found out. So you don't have to put everything that has been found out in the introduction. So actually that was also a learning that I got through the trainings that I attended conducted by PAMJ and APAME, no, the Asia Pacific Medical Journal editors. And kasi nga sa PGN, in the past, no, ang haba-haba talaga ng mga introduction, parang nandun na lahat. So in fact, the rationale there is you are actually driving away your possible readers because of such a long introduction. The introduction must be something that will catch actually and briefly introduce what your paper is all about. Sabing ganun nung aming training. Kaya doon I keep on encouraging. I see now the merit. I see the merit now of having indeed a concise introduction. That's why I've been adhering also to the 3-paragraph rule. At the most 5-paragraph rule ang ginagamit ko sa introduction. Ganun po. Wala pong there's no number, but just keep it to a minimum para hindi ma-distract yung reader.
Thank you very much, Doc, for the clarification. Doc Jo Cadena, I hope that I hope that the answer is clear, and I hope that we are enlightened with our response.
Actually, there's a book that is written by that we are using in the PAMJ training. It's written by Dr. Pe, Wilfred Pe of Singapore. It's basic writing for medical writing. No? It's for doctors and nurses, for the health professionals. I think you can get hold of it by writing PCHRD, Dr. Montoya. Kasi I think there's still some copies in the PCHRD for distribution. We used to distribute it during the PNHRS week.
Thank you very much, Doc Castor. I guess somebody is raising his or her hand, but I cannot see on screen if who that person is. Or you may just post your questions in our chat box, maybe, so it would be easier for us to access and to read your queries.
Sir Sai, one was coming from Ms. Jonna Villanueva, and the other one is from Sarah Jane Rosales.
Ms. Ming?
Yes, sir. One is from Ms. Jonna Villanueva.
Okay, Ms. Jonna Villanueva, you may unmute yourself and you may deliver your piece, please.
Sir Sai? Sir Cyrus? Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is Jo Cadena. Thank you so much,
Doc Cadena.
Ma'am Castor. Yeah, I think we understand that we were muted a while ago. Ma'am, thank you so much for the response. I actually raised that concern because recently I attended a write shop, and as I reviewed the not really standard, but guide on how we we improve our paper for academic writing and for publication. Like what you said, I am affirmed, no? Like when you mentioned that we need to focus on known gap and purpose as we related this to the guide that they've given us on situation, problem, and solution. My concern, ma'am, is I appreciate the response that you've given me, and now I know how to improve it. No, but I was really surprised because I cited four, ma'am, observing, of course, the limitation of the citations of literature because we know then that it will be included in the review of lit. No, but the comment given by the one who reviewed my paper really is to add more literature. That is why I made a question on that because I was really listening to the flow of your presentation, and this is really very enriching, Ma'am Castor. And I recalled we met in 2013 when you gave us a quali research talk, no? And now we have seen how you were so engaged with the research, and we thank then we thank you, no, for your generosity of sharing your expertise with us. So yun, ma'am, yun lang talaga yung concern ko kasi I was surprised that I was asked to add more, and I was wondering if there are really limitations to the number, but I captured what you said, no. Thank you, Sir Cyrus. I am just overwhelmed also with the response of Dr. Castor. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Doc. Thank you so much, Dr. Cadena. And I just read here in our chat box, it says, from Miss Jonah and Miss Sai, sorry, they actually both accidentally pressed the raise hand button. But nevertheless, we also
Happens.
appreciate your gratitude and appreciation to our esteemed resource speaker. Thank you very much. And we have here posted by Sir OJ the evaluation link. Kindly access our evaluation link, please. Thank you. And I guess I would like to take this moment in reading the certificate of appreciation to our honored speaker. And the text would read, Certificate of Appreciation. The certificate is presented to ERLINDA CASTRO-PALAGANAS, PhD, for sharing valuable insights and inspirations to the nursing students, faculty, parents, and Lasallian community during the College of Nursing Virtual Research Webinar 2021, held on April 30, 2021 via Zoom at the University of St. LaSalle, Bacolod City. Given this 30th day of April 2021 at the University of St. LaSalle, Bacolod City, Negros Occidental, Philippines. Signed, IVG Edemni, MN, Dean, College of Nursing. Signed, Romel Terwell, PhD, AVC for Research and Engagement. Thank you very much. I'm supposed to give you the certificate personally, but I guess my flight is delayed again, so I wasn't able to catch up the timeline. Nevertheless, with so much pleasure and honor, kindly receive the certificate on behalf of the organizing team and on behalf of the USLS College of Nursing.
Thank you, Cyrus. My pleasure. Thank you for
Salamat.
appreciating the sharing.
Of course, the pleasure is always ours. And to formally close our webinar today, let us listen to the closing remarks coming from Dr. Tony Angie Lachica.
Good morning again, everyone. Let me begin by thanking Dr. Palaganas for your very enriching talk, from the birth of research until its research utilization through publication. This would greatly help us plan what we need to do next. At the opening session, the objectives were clearly set, and I hope everyone has thought of not just excellent topics, but very relevant topics, which was highlighted by Doc Castor to engage in. As she has shared very good points, very good sources, like that of NURA, NIRA, and your institutional research agenda, where you can harmonize your research priority. I also have noted that Dr. Castor has talked through explicitly on evidence-based practice, which is vital in nursing to achieve effective and efficient quality healthcare outcomes. On these points, we have become cognizant that in making clinical judgment, this must be underpinned with research-driven data and findings. And of course, the heart of our webinar today is the indispensable value of research publication. It was again brought to our senses that we should not stop in just writing research, but we need to disseminate the new knowledge we have established. Let us not all waste our research results as mentioned by Dr. Castor. We need to publish to improve our existing healthcare practices. Again, remember, research publication is our tool for social change. And also, I would like to thank the participants who took part in this activity. Participants coming from Iloilo, Manila, China, America, Indonesia, different parts of Negros, and of course, from our partner schools in Bacolod City. I hope it's been a good use of your time listening to Dr. Castor. For sure, you are all thrilled and excited to write again research and start publishing your long overdue research output. Just like other webinars, I hope that you have learned something new and have heard about something that challenged you in your thinking and encouraged you to do more. I am sure that you are all looking forward to getting back to your laptops and gadgets to start writing your research. Right, Sir Cyrus? Let us all work
I
together.
couldn't agree more.
Thank you, Sir Sai, for that response. Let us all work together in nurturing the favorite word of our speaker, Doc Castor, nurturing positive research culture. Better yet, let us continue toward improving our world, fueled by our love and passion for research and, of course, nursing. Once again, thank you, Doc Castor. Thank you, Dr. Shaila Trajera. Thank you, College of Nursing, University of St. LaSalle, and to all our participants this morning. Have a great day, everyone. Good morning again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc
Have a great
Tony.
day.
Closing our webinar in higher and highest notes, and may our enthusiasm will cascade into research outputs and publications. On a more personal note, I would like to extend my appreciation to Dr. Shaila Trujera, our CEO, for the group. Dr. Shaila, thank you very much for the chance and for the opportunity. And I am extending my gratitude to all the attendees and most especially to Dr. Palaganas. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day. And one piece of advice to everyone, let us all stay safer because I suppose that after this storm, we will all emerge victorious. This has been your host, Cyrus Alcala, 2005 Golden Voice Champion and host par excellence of Western Visayas. Gracias, everyone.
Gracias, Cyrus.
Thank you very
Bye.
much, Doc
Bye,
Castor.
everyone. Stay safe.
Thank you very much,
Ingat.
Tony. Thank you, everyone.
Hail, hail, alma mater. Hail
Hail
today,
today,
LaSalle.
LaSalle.
We'll hold your
Hold your
banner high
banner
and
high
bright,
and bright,
shield
a
of green
shield of
and
green and white.
white. We'll
We'll
fight to
fight to
keep your
keep your
glory
glory
bright,
bright.
and never
Never
shall
shall
we
we
fail.
fail.
Hail
Hail
to
to
thee,
thee,
our alma
alma
mater.
mater.
Hail,
Hail, hail, hail.
hail,
In
hail,
every victory
alma
or defeat,
mater.
let this hymn
Hail
find us as one Lasallian
today,
community. Let us keep
LaSalle.
the animo burning,
We'll
animo
hold
Lasal.
your banner high and bright, a shield of green and white. We'll fight to keep
Keep
your
your
glory
glory
bright, and
bright, and
never
never
shall we
shall we
fail.
fail.
Hail
To thee,
our
our
alma
alma
mater.
mater.
Hail,
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 hail, hail.
hail. Hail to
Hail to
thee,
thee,
our
our
alma
alma
mater.
mater.
Hail,
Hail,
hail, hail,
hail,
hail.
hail. Animo,
Lasal.
thank you and good day,
Thank you
everyone.
very much, Doc Caster.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Doc
Thank you,
Caster.
Doc.
Bye.
You're a blessing.
All of us are blessings to each other. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye
Thank you
po.
then.
Grabe, Doc. Congratulations.